Hi, my name is Linda Cirulli-Burton, and welcome to this channel named Above the Battleground ACIM. Today, the topic that I wanted to grapple with is one where it's very hard to reconcile the fact that most spiritual paths will talk about you and I being the same. We are one. And how do you get there from a bodily experience where everywhere you look, things are different from you? It certainly doesn't look like we are the same. Above the Battleground is based on the teachings of a spiritual self-study path known as A Course in Miracles. I've been a student of A Course in Miracles since 1992 and recently have become charged with the idea of sharing some of the great insights that exist within the pages of A Course in Miracles, with the intention that in the sharing, it'll go deeper inside me and maybe even be of some assistance to you. So, physicists themselves, with their unified theory of the universe, everything from subatomic particles to the giant universe and multiple universes, if you will, that there is a connection. And you know what's interesting is that they are talking about the physical universe. And what I love about A Course in Miracles is that actually you can be a student of A Course in Miracles and still really, really enjoy the scientific discoveries. So here we are. In ACM in chapter 2, let me read this to you. It says, "It's almost impossible to deny the body's existence in this world. Those who do so are engaging in a particularly unworthy form of denial." And I think that's very intriguing because ultimately, A Course in Miracles will teach us that we are not our bodies, because a mantra that is repeated often throughout the Course is this, and I love it: I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. So reconciling this, not to have a denial of the body, but to understand you are not your body. And sometimes I think that the easiest way for me to understand this is the fact that Jesus walked this earth. He broke bread with friends and family. He drank with family and friends. He was in this universe, but not of it. He had transcended it. He knew he was not a body. So, in a particular new favorite of mine, this is part of the transcript series, Volume 4, and this is published by a Foundation for A Course in Miracles. Ken Wapnick, as I have said to you, the gentleman that I consider to be really the greatest teacher of A Course in Miracles. This is called Cast No One Out, Making It About Them. And there's some things that he shares in there that have been so helpful in me being able to put my arms around the concept of oneness versus this plurality that I see all around me. What Ken talks about in this book, and I have certainly mentioned in previous videos, is the fact of the splitting off. So first, there was only one, of which the Son of God and the Father were united. And then in a mythology of something which did not occur, but that somewhere in our psyche we believe it occurred, the Son of God, the Christ, broke off from God's mind. And in the breaking off, there was another split. And that split was between the wrong mind, the ego mind, and the right mind. And the right mind is what we carried with us in this mythology of the Holy Spirit Still there, the voice for God reminding us that we've never left home, that we are home. We have never, never left. Now, the wrong mind, the ego mind, here is kind of like the third split, okay? The third split was a fragmentation into billions and billions of forms, almost like I created the body in order to be able to run and hide from the wrath of God because I usurped the power of God. Okay, so this concept of the split mind and that contains the mind of God and the mind of ego or the mind of body really is the key factor. So according to Ken, I love this visual. Once again, he talks about it in Cast No One Out, the volume 4 of the transcript series from the Foundation of A Course in Miracles. He gives this visual. You imagine a giant pane of glass breaking, fragmenting into thousands of pieces, billions of pieces, okay? Breaking. But if you were to go and analyze each one of the pieces, each one of the fragments, you would find that each of the pieces contains the whole. Now, the size might be different. The jagged edges might be different. But each one of those fragments broken off from that pane of glass are the same. And if we can imagine, and it's become easier and easier for me to do this, if we can imagine that every one of the fragments that have broken contain the right mind, contain the wrong mind, and contain a decision maker that can make the decision. We share the interest of every one of those fragments of glass. Every single fragment, every single thing in the physical universe is seeking peace, is seeking love, is seeking a release from fear. If we can get that, all kinds of wonderful, lovely feelings of oneness, of unity, and primarily, we're not at war. We're not at war. Now, in this book, he gives me a bunch of adjectives to describe mind. Because remember, the Son of God broke off from the one mind, then broke into two minds, the right mind, the wrong mind. And then through the wrong mind, the ego mind created fragment after fragment after fragment after fragment, more splits, hiding out from the alleged vengeance of God. But in the mind, we are all one. So here's some great adjectives that he gives. He says, minds do not have forms. Minds are abstract. Minds are non-specific. Minds are atemporal and non-spatial. Ultimately, we will learn that there is nothing outside of the mind. Even if we are living in our bodies, taking care of our bodies, making sure we're not abusing our bodies, living. Even as we do that, we can come to grips with the fact that we are truly of one mind. And so, hail, hail, scientists. But I do believe that when you are on a spiritual path, it's like you already know, and they're just finding out what you already know. So thank you so much for joining me today, and remember, you and I are the same. we are one.